So guys, let's solve the following questions, which are the previous exam questions. Now, the question says, given that the velocity of a particle v is equal to t raised to the power of 4 minus 5 meter per second. Now, I believe when you look at the options, what you have here is meter per second square. And we know that acceleration is equal to meter per second square. So what this is telling us is to find the acceleration, which is a. So how do we find the acceleration? Now we know that acceleration is change in velocity over change in time. And we have v is equal to t raised to the power of 4 minus 5 meter per second. Now let me remove this so that it will be easier. So we say v is equal to t raised to the power of 4 minus 5. Now differentiate v with respect to t. You have dv all over dt. Now dv all over dt is what? A. So we can say our acceleration is dv all over dt. That is differentiate v with respect to t. And in differentiation, by now you should have known that if you have a raised to the power of n, what you do, use n to multiply a. So you have na then minus 1 from what? N. So what we are going to do here, t raised to the power of 4, use 4 to multiply t. So we have 4t, then subtract 1 from 4, which is 4 minus 1. Then minus. Now when you differentiate a constant term without a variable, the option is what? The correct answer will be what? 0. So at the end of the day, our a is equal to 4t. 4 minus 1 is what? 3. And that is the solution to that question. Now the unit is meter per second square. So the correct answer here is option C. And that what makes option C the correct answer. Okay. The next. Now when you see a question like this, I would advise, if you see this particular question, don't solve it because you'll be wasting your time. The question is a very tricky question and the solution is very long. You use integration by part to solve and solve and solve. Okay? But the correct answer to this question, did I just choose D? Nah. The correct answer to this question is option B. So when you see this exact question, just know that the correct answer is what? Option B. Okay? That is the solution to that question. Now the next. Find an equation normal to the curve at points. Now whenever you are given any question like this, what you first of all do is to differentiate what is given to you in order to find your slope, because the equation to normal is usually y minus y1 is equal to minus 1 divided by the slope bracket x minus x1. Now our y1 is what was given as 1, and then our s1 is what is given as what? 1. If you look at the point here, 1 and 1, it means this one is s1 and this one is what? y1. Okay? But you don't know what m is. Now to find m, you differentiate what is given to you here. Now what was given to you is s square y plus y square plus x plus y is equal to 0. Now whenever you are given something like this, what kind of differentiation like is this? Now this is differentiation of implicit function. So what you are going to do is to differentiate this. Now if you differentiate this, what do you think is going to give to you? First of all, you differentiate this and hold this constant. Okay? Differentiation of implicit function. I'm not going to explain much. If you want to a video on differentiation of implicit function, please check our link below or check any of the link there. I think I did something like this before now. Now, s square, if you differentiate s square, it will give you 2x. Then you multiply it by what? Y. Plus differentiate y, it will give you 1. 1 times s square will give us s square. Then we put dy ds. Because wherever you differentiate y, you put dy ds. What we did was differentiate s, use it to multiply y. Differentiate y, use it to multiply x. So when we differentiated x, it gave us 2x. Then use it to multiply y. Differentiate y now, it will give you 1. 1 times s square will give us s square. Then you now include dy ds. Plus, I told you that whenever you differentiate y, what will it give to you? Dy ds. So, when you differentiate y square, this becomes 2y dy over dx. Plus, when you differentiate x, what will it give to you? X will give us 1. Then plus, differentiate our y here. What will y give to you? Y will give us 1 times dy ds, which is dy over ds. Everything is equal to 0. So what you do now is to pick all the dy ds together. Okay, now if you pick all the dy ds together, what are you going to have? You are going to have s square dy over ds plus 2y dy over dx plus dy over dx, everything is equal to, take this 1 to this other side, become minus 1. Take this one to this other side, becomes minus 2xy. Okay? So that at the end of the day, what are you going to have? This dy ds, dy ds, dy ds. What do you think you are going to do is to bring out dy ds. So if you bring out dy ds, what are we left with? If we bring out dy ds, this will now be bracket. If you bring out dy ds here, what will be left here? S squared plus 2y plus 1. Okay? So this gives us s squared plus 2y plus 1. Everything is equals to minus 1 minus, I think what we have here is minus 2xy. Okay? Minus 2xy. So that at the end of the day, to get dy ds, what do? Divide both sides by what you have here. Okay? So if you divide both sides by what you have here, what is this going to give to you? S squared plus 2y plus 1 all over s squared plus 2y plus 1. Okay? So when this cancel this, our dy ds is equals to minus 1 minus 2sy divided by s squared plus 2y plus 1. Now, what do you think you can do in this case? What do you think we can do? Now, put in our values. Now, recall that it was given that our x is 1, y is 1. Okay? So you come here, wherever you see s, put 1. Wherever you see y, put 1. So you now say that x is equals to 1, y is equals to 1. So therefore, dy over the s is minus 1 minus 2 bracket 1 bracket 1 divided by 1 square plus 2 bracket 1 plus 1. And this gives us minus 1. Then minus 2 times this is what? Minus 2. Okay? Divided by. Now, 1 square is what? 1 square will give us 1. Plus this is what? This will give us 2 plus 1. So that at the end of the day, our answer will become minus 3, because minus 2 minus 1. Minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3 divided by 4. Okay? That is our value. Minus 3 divided by 4. So what do you think our answer would be now? Haven't gotten this as our value. Now, this value that we got is our slope. So we can say our m is minus 3 over 4. Are we getting it now? So substitute into the equation. The equation says y minus y1 is equals to m, or let's say minus 1 all over m bracket s minus s1. This is the general equation for a line to the normal, or for an equation to the normal, or for a normal equation rather. Say find an equation normal to the curve. So an equation normal to the curve, this is usually the formula. Now our y1 is 1. It was given in the question. Look at it here. These values you have here, s1 1, y1 is 1. So coming back here, we say this becomes 1 minus 1 is equals to minus 1 divided by what? Minus 3 all over 4 bracket s minus 1. So that at the end of the day, when this cancel this, 4 go up, it becomes y minus 1 is equals to 4 all over 3, because 1 all over 3 over 4 is the same thing as 4 all over 3. Are we getting it? Then bracket s minus 1. Now at the end of the day, what do you think you're going to have? If this 3 multiplied this becomes 3y minus 3 is equal to 4 multiplied this is 4s minus 4. So our answer will be equals to 3y minus 4s. Then we have minus 3. If this minus comes to this side, plus 4 is equal to 0. So at the end of the day, our final answer will be equals to 3y minus 4s. Minus 3 plus 4 is what? Plus 1. Everything is equals to 0. And that is the solution to that question, which makes option D the correct answer. It's a lengthy one, but you just have to know it. It may come out tomorrow, okay? Now, the next question says, determine the first derivative of the function. Now, this function that is given to you is product rule. Now, shortcut, we just say dy ds, differentiate the first one you have here. Differentiate the first one you have here. If you differentiate s squared, what will it give to you? It will give you 2s. Are we getting it? then multiply it by the natural logarithm of s raised to the power of 4 plus, now the next thing you are going to do is write this s square. So this becomes s square times, differentiate the natural logarithm of s raised to the power of 4. What do you think that is going to give to us? Now, differentiate limit of s raised to the power of 4. All you need to do is to bring 4 backward. So this becomes 4 times, now limit of x, if you differentiate, if 4 comes back, it becomes 4 in s, right? That then this natural logarithm of s is the same thing as 1 all over x. Okay, so this becomes 1 all over x. So our dy ds will be equals to 2s ln s to the power of 4 plus 4s square divided by s. S cancels s. So what do you think we are going to have? Dy dx is 2x limit of s raised to the power of 4 plus what? 4x. And that makes option B the correct answer to that question. Okay, now the next is differentiate with respect to y. The value y is 5 all over s square. So what do you think dy ds will be? Now all you need to do is bring 5 out because 5 is a constant, then times 1 all over s square first. So this is not dy ds. So our y is equals to this. So y will be equals to 5 times, now 1 all over s squared is the same thing as s raised to the power of minus 2. So our y is 5 times x raised to the power of minus 2. Now, if you want to differentiate, you use the minus 2 to multiply what you have here. So our y is equals to what? Minus 2 times 5 is what? So we have minus 5 times 2, or let's say 5 times minus 2. 5 times minus 2 x raised to the power of minus 2 minus 1, because in differentiation, if you use this to multiply, you subtract 1 from the power. So our y is minus 10 x minus 2 minus 1 is what? Minus 3. So at the end of the day, you have minus 10 x minus 3. This becomes minus 10 times s minus 3 is the same thing as 1 all over s raised to the power of 3. This becomes minus 10 bracket s raised to the power of 3. And that makes option B the correct answer to this question. Okay, now let's solve the next. I'm rushing because I have exam 2 to prepare for, so just bear with me. Now this e raised to the power of 5x. Now whenever you see a question like this, just differentiate what you have on top here and then use it to divide what you have here. So e raised to the power of 5s, if you differentiate 5s, what will it give to you? To give you 5 divided by 5 plus c. That is the solution to this question. That makes option D is the correct answer. Now if I give you any question, let's say e raised to the power of 7s, what would be the answer? To be e raised to the power of 7s divided by 7 plus what? C. It's as easy as that. Okay, it's as easy as that. Now the next, which of the following sets of ordered pair is a function? Now an ordered pair that is a function is the one that will not have the same s coordinate. The one that will not have the same s coordinate is the ordered pair that is what? A function. So in this case, look at, let's take from D. This one here, the s coordinate, each of them you see here, this one is x. The one that will not have the same s coordinate, okay, s coordinate. That means what I did here is the answer here is not correct. It's not A. It's correct. Sorry. This s coordinate and this is what? Y. This s, this is y. This s, this is y. This s, this is y. Okay? So which of them do you think does not have the same s coordinate? Now if you look at this is 1 here, this is 1 here. The coordinates are the same. So this one is wrong. Now this minus 2 here, right? And then 0 minus 2 here. They must not have the same s coordinate. So this is wrong. This 1 here, right? This 0, 0. The two are the same. So this is wrong. But if you look at this one, this is 1 here, 0 minus 2. Different s coordinates. So this is the correct answer. And that makes option A the correct answer to that question. Okay? The next. What is the domain of the function? Now for you to look for domain of a function, all you need to do is equate the function inside, or equate what is inside to be equals to 0. So we have 4 minus s squared is equal to 0. Now make s subject to the formula. Take this one to this side, becomes s squared. Now our s squared, our 4, or what you do is 4 minus s squared, it should be equal to, or should be less than or greater than 2, or let's say, let me make it easier for you to understand. So what is the domain of the function? Now, for this thing to have a definite value, it means that 4 minus s squared should be greater than or equal to what? 0. Because square root of 1 is something, but square root of minus 1 is not what? Defined. Are you getting it? So anything greater than 0 have a square root, but anything less than 0 does not have a square root. So you should put that for this thing to have a domain, the square root or everything here should be greater than or equal to 0. Because if it is less than 0, it is not defined. Is understood? If it's less than 0, it is not what? Defined. But if it is greater than 0, then it's defined, because you can find the square root of 1, you can find the square root of 2, you can find the square root of 3. All these are greater than 0. But if you now put minus 1, the square root of minus 1 will give you a complex number. Square root of minus 2 will give you a complex number. So that is the idea we are going to use here. Okay? So everything here should be greater than or equal to what? 0. Now, at this point in time, what do we now do? You will now say take this one to this side. This become 4 should be greater than or equal to what? S squared. Now, at the end of the day, you now say 4 square root of 4 is equal to square root of s squared. This cancel this. This cancel this. What will this give to you? 2 is equal to, not equal to, greater than or equal to s. So we can say that 2. Okay, now when you find the square root of a number like this, what you do is to put plus and what? Minus. Okay? When you find the square root of any number, what you do is to put plus and minus. All these things they are escaping me little by little. We are now into the medical field where we talk about brachial plexus, anatomy, physiology, and the rest. But we are still back here. So plus and minus you should be included whenever you find the square root of anything. Okay? So our answer now would be, if this s crosses to this side, if you are changing the sign, it will now be what? X is less than or equal to what? Plus and minus 2. Okay? Plus and minus 2. So we can now say that our answer to this question will be minus 2 is less than or equal to s, or less than or equal to 2. And that makes this one the correct answer. Minus 2 is less than or equal to s, or less than or equal to what? 2. Okay? Because if you put minus 2 into this question, what will it give to you? It will give you a particular value. Okay? So that is the solution to that question. Now the next, integrate this. Now if they give you anything, integrate kz. Now with respect to z, what do you think you have to do? This is a very simple question. Kz with respect to z. Divide both sides by k, because when you differentiate z, kz, it will give you k. So divide both sides by k and add c to it, and that makes option C the correct answer. So I may give you integrate, let's say, e raised to the power of 2x. What did I say? Differentiate 2x, it will give you 2, then plus what? C. That is just what they are trying to tell you. So if k is a constant and z is a variable, when you differentiate, you divide by k plus c, and that is the answer to that question. Okay? Now the next, say evaluate this. Now this one I'm going to take it little by little. Now whenever you are given anything like this, you write it out. Evaluate x root s squared plus 1 ds. Now the first thing you do use substitution. You say let u be equals to s squared plus 1. Now if u is equals to s squared plus 1, du over d, or before we go du over the s, our integral will now be integral of s, then root of what? U, because wherever you see u now, you now put s squared plus 1 ds. Okay? Now, we keep this. Let's say this is equation 1. And this is equation 2. Now, take this one out now and then integrate. Differentiate rather. So, u is what? S squared plus 1. So, our du with respect to x will be equals to, when differentiate 2x, s squared will give you 2x. Differentiate 1, it will give you 0. So, at the end of the day, du is 2s ds. Okay? Du is 2s ds. Now, to find ds, what do? Divide both sides by 2s. So 2s cancel 2s. Our ds is du all over 2s. So wherever you see ds, what would you put? Du over what? 2s. Now remember that our initial equation was what? What we had here was integral of s, equation 1, root u ds. Right? That's what we have here. Equation 1. Are we getting it now? So in place of ds, put in this value. Okay? So this will give us ds is 2s, or let's say du all over 2s. So whenever you see ds, put du all over 2s. And this becomes s root u times du all over 2x. Now s can cancel x. Bring these two out. If you bring these two out, it becomes 1 all over 2 here. Integral of root u du. Now, this becomes 1 over 2. Integral. Root u is what? U. Raised to the power of what? Half du. If you integrate this, integration say you should add 1 to the power and divide by whatever you have, right? So this becomes 1 all over 2. Is it 1 all over 2? Yes, that becomes 1 all over 2. Then you now have differentiation, say you should do that, right? So this becomes 1 all over 2 times, let's say bracket u half plus 1 divided by what? Half plus 1, everything what? Plus c. And this becomes half times u. Half plus 1 is 3 over 2. Half plus 1, this over 1. The LCM is 2. 2 times 2, 1. Times this is 1. Plus 2 divided by this. 2 divided by this is 1. Then 2 divided by 1 is 2. Plus this is 2. Multiplied by this is 2. This is 3 over 2. So we have 3 over 2. That's why we have 3 over 2 here. I'm not supposed to be doing all these things for you. So half plus 1 is what? 3 over 2. Everything plus what? C. Okay? So at the end of the day, what are you going to have? You have half. Now, if you want this one to come out, are you getting it? It's still the same thing as times 1 all over 3 over 2. If this one is coming out this way, then times, then you are left with what? U raised to the power of 3 all over 2 plus c. Now this becomes half times, now 1 all over 3 over 2 is still the same thing as 2 all over what? 3. Then we have u 3 over 2 plus what? C. When this cancels, no, not this is cancelling this. This 3. When 2 cancel this, what are we left with? We are left with 1 over 3, then u 3 over 2 plus c. And this becomes 1 all over 3. Where is our u? Our u, we kept it as what? S squared plus 1. So we say 1 all over 3 bracket s squared plus 1 bracket 3 over 2 plus c. And that is the solution to that answer, which is option A. That's why we have option A as the correct answer. Okay? So it's as easy as that. Now the next question. Determine the value of s at which the minimum point of the function. Now if you see this particular one like this, as it is like this, choose 0. But I think the exact question is this. If you see this one, please take note. That was why I said take note of this one and the previous one. The discrepancy, the question is not that clear. The discrepancy is here. Here, this one is squared. While here, this one is what? 3. So if you have 3, the answer is 0. But if you have square, the answer will be something different. And that is the one we are going to do. Now, at minimum point, dy ds is equal to 0. At minimum point, dy ds is equal to what? 0. So what do we have? We have y is equals to s cubed plus 2s squared minus 3. So our dy dx is equals to s squared is what? 3s squared. I mean, if you differentiate s cubed is 3s squared plus 2s squared. If you differentiate it, 2 times 2 will give us 4x. Differentiate this will give you 0. Now we said at minimum point, at minimum point, at minimum point, dy ds, dy ds is equal to what? 0. In pharmacy school, that is not always the case. But here, dy ds is equal to what? 0. So if dy ds is equal to 0, it means that what you have gotten as your dy ds equate it to be what? 0. and then find the value of s. So this becomes 3s squared plus 4s. Everything here will be equal to what? 0. Now, take this 4s to this side. This becomes 3s squared is equal to what? Minus 4s. Now, divide both sides by 3. No. Choo. Wait. Let's bring it out here. So, this 3s squared is equal to, take this one to this side. It becomes what? Minus 4s. Now, divide both sides by s first, okay? To make it easier. So this cancel this cancel this. So our 3s is equals to minus 4. Now to get s, divide both sides by what? 3. So therefore our s is minus 4 over 3. And that makes option B the correct answer. Okay? Minus 4 over 3. So take note. Now the point at which dy dx is equals to 0 is called the stationary point. That point is not moving. The point at which dy dx is equals to 0 is called the stationary what? Point. Now, also, we have minimum point. But wait. It's correct. It's still the same thing. A minimum point, dy dx is what? 0. But those minimum point, the minimum and maximum point are called stationary point. It's not only minimum point, but minimum and maximum points are stationary points. Are you getting it now? At maximum point, also dy dx is equal to 0. At minimum, dy dx is equal to 0. So you don't choose only maximum, you just choose stationary point, because stationary point encompasses both minimum and what? Maximum point. Okay? So that is the answer to that one. Now, the next question says, if f of s is equal to s squared, find the average rate of f as s changes from s is equals to 1 to s is equals to 2. Now, average means what? You should add both of them together and divide by what? Divide by 2. Add both of them together and divide by 2. That is what average is talking about. So first of all, let's find dy ds, because they say average rate of change, right? So dy ds is what? 2x. So you are going to find 2s as it changes from s1 to what? 5. So this becomes 2. Wherever you see s, put 1 first. Then the other one will be what? 2 bracket what? 5. 2 times 1 is what? 2. 2 times 5 is what? 10. Then we now have 2 plus 10 will be equals to 12. Now the average of 12 is 12 divided by 2 is 6. And that makes C the correct answer. Okay. So that is the average rate of change. Okay. Average rate of change. Now the next question. The derivative of f of s. Now absolute value at s is equals to 0. What will be the answer? If you differentiate this, what will it give to you? 3 bracket what? S what? Square. Are we getting it? That is our dy ds. Now at s is equals to 0, what will it be? Dy ds is equals to 3 bracket. We have 3 times absolute value of 0. Okay? Now, the absolute value of 0 is what? So, in this case, our dy ds is equal to 0. And that makes option A the correct answer. The next. What is f of g of h, where f of s is 2s minus 1, h of s is cos s, and g of s is e raised to the power of s. What is f of s? Now, the first thing you need to do is write f of g of h is equal to. Now, you write 2x out first, minus 1. Now, what this f of g, for instance, if we are looking for f of g first, what this is telling us is that wherever we see x in f, put the value of g. So look at f. What do you have? 2x. So you put in the value of g. The value of g here is what? E raised to the power of x. So you now say minus 1. Okay? That is f of g. Now the next one is f of g of h. Now what f of g of h is telling you that in f of g, wherever you see s, put in the value of what? H. So this becomes 2. Then we have e. What do we have here? X. Put in the value of h. What is the value of h? Is cos s minus 1. So the correct answer is 2e cos s minus 1. And that makes option A the correct answer to this question. Next one. Okay, this particular question, the question is not complete. So when you see it, you figure it out. Now this one says integrate cos s ds within the limits pi over 2 and 0. Now cos s ds, if you integrate this normally, pi over 2 and 0. If you integrate this will give us minus sine x. Okay? Give us minus sine s. Now, plus c. Not minus sine s. It will give you sine x. Because integration is the opposite of differentiation. If you differentiate sine s, it will give you cos s. If you integrate cos s, it will give us sine s. Plus what? C. Now, let's leave c aside. We have limits given to us, which are pi over 2 and 0. Now, what this means is write sine x, then pi over 2 minus what? Sine x raised to the power of 0. So wherever you see s, put pi over 2. So this becomes sine pi over 2 minus sine 0. Sine pi over 2 is sine. Pi over 2 means 180 divided by 2 because pi is 180 degrees, so sine 0. And sine 180 divided by 2 is sine 90 minus sine 0. Now, if you punch your calculator, now sine 90 is 1 minus sine 0 is what? 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. So the correct answer to this question is 1. Okay? Oh, this is the last question. How did we come about jumping from? Is it that we are missing any question? We are not supposed to jump from 17 to 20. So means we miss 18 and 19. I will try and get those questions. Now, this question says, what will be the solution to this question? Now, what you first of all do is to differentiate this. What do you have here is 2 sine. Now, if you differentiate sine x, sine 7s, differentiate 7s first, it will give you what? 7. Then cos. You're not going to write cos what? 7x. Minus this will give us what? 0 divided by 7. Okay? Now, at limits of 0, what will this give to us? This becomes 2 times 4 is 2 times 7 is 14. Okay? Then cos, what do we have here? 0. Okay? Cos 0 divided by 7. This one is not giving me a difference from what I initially perceived. Now, if you use this ideologies to solve, you have 14. You go back. You have 14. Cos 0 is what? Is 1. Divided by what? 7. And this gives us 14 all over 7, which equals to 2. I may be tempted to choose 2 as the answer, but that is wrong. Because they told you that the limit is approaching 0. That means it is coming from a negative value towards 0. Okay? And if it is coming from a negative value towards 0, that limit is what? Is undefined. Is what? Undefined. Since it's coming from a negative value towards what? 0. So the correct answer to this question is undefined. The limit is undefined. When you see this exact question, choose undefined as the correct answer. Okay? Because it's coming from a negative value. And if you press the calculator, cos of a negative value is what? Cos minus 3. What will it give to you? 0.9999 something. Are you serious? Or let's put in sine. If you don't differentiate, put in your values to give you 0, and 0 divided by anything there, it will give you 0 over 0. It's undefined. Okay? Correct answer is undefined. Now, that is that for all these questions. Let me try and look for 18 and 19. I don't really know. Now, I think the question that we missed is the one that says, given that the displacement of a particle thrown vertically upward is, just take the question, 12 minus 5t plus t raised to the power of 4. What is the acceleration at t is equals to 2 seconds? Now you are given the displacement. Note that velocity is what? Change the displacement over time. So let's calculate the velocity first by differentiating this. Differentiate this will give you 0 minus 5 plus what? 4t raised to the power of 3. And then v is equals to minus 5 plus 4t raised to the power of 3. Now, to get your acceleration, is dv all over dt, which equals to minus 5 plus 4t raised to the power of 3 is the same thing as 12t squared. Now, if you differentiate minus 5, this will give us 0. Sorry. So here will be 0. Okay? And then your a would be equal to 12t squared, which equals to 12 bracket 2 square. 2 square is what? 4. 12 times 4 is what? 48. Now the unit will be meter per second square. Take note of the unit, or 48 meter. You may see it like this. The only one of the distinguishing factors between each of the options there is the unit. The options we have here are 27 meters per second square. We have 48 meter. We have 48 meter per second, and we have 48 meters per second square. So the correct answer is 48 meter per second square. Okay? Tomorrow you may be given something like this. I just want you to note this and the shortcut to go about it without going through the long cut. You may be given integral of 2x e raised to the power of x. Now note that this is integration by parts, and the formula for integration by part is what? U dv is equals to uv minus what? V du. Are you getting it? So whenever you are given any question like this, what do? What you do is, let me show you a shortcut to doing this. Rule 2 lines like this, or 3 lines. Now here put sine, here put differentiation, here put integration. The signs are plus, negative, okay? Then differentiation. If you differentiate 2x, what will it give to you? To give us 2. If you differentiate 2, first of all, you have 2x. Now, if you are given anything like this, I say you are going to write, this is differentiation, this is integration. So first of all, write 2x, and then here write e raised to the power of x. Okay? Now, this positive, negative, positive, positive, negative, positive. Let's see how much we can go first. So when you differentiate 2x, what will it give to you? To give us 2. Integrate e raised to the power of s. It will also give us e raised to the power of s. Now if you differentiate 2, what will it give to you? 0. E raised to the power of s. It will also give us e raised to the power of x. So the first thing we do now is, you come here, and the solution to this question will be, this value here is positive, right? So the value will be positive. You choose this one for the first value here, and then you link it to the second value here. So this will be 2x raised to the power of es. What do you have here? Is minus 2. Are you getting it now? So this will be minus 2. Then you link this one to this value, e raised to the power of x. Now, you cannot link 0 and any value again. So you, at this point, you cannot add plus c. And this is the solution to this question. Which, if you want to make to separate of the formula, you can actually make 2es separate of the formula, right? By saying 2e raised to the power of s bracket x minus 1 plus c. Or you can make to separate of the formula, it becomes x es minus es plus c. Whichever one you want to do. That is how to solve this question. Now let me give you another one to try. How about if you are given something like this? Ah, my pen. How about if you are given something like integrate s raised to the power of 3 sine x dx. Now this integration by parts. If you want to solve this, you use 3 pages and solve. But the shortcut I'm going to give to you, all you need to do is, the formula for integration by part is what? Is why am I forgetting this thing now? U dv is equals to uv minus integral of u dv is equals to uv minus integral of what? V du. Was that what I wrote here? Okay, it's correct. Integral of v du. So all you need to do here is to also rule our line. Okay, these lines will save life tomorrow. Now this becomes plus, oh sorry, sine. This becomes sine plus, so you put the sine here, This is plus minus plus minus plus minus like that, and this becomes differentiation, and this is integration. So what we are going to put here is s raised to the power of 3. If you differentiate this, it will give us 3s squared. Differentiate this, it will give us s squared. 6s. If you differentiate 6s, it will give us 6. If you differentiate this will give us 0. So we have these values here like this. Now how about for the I? This is sine s. If you integrate sine s, I think it will give us if you integrate sine s, it will give us minus cos x. Okay. Now at this point, now what do you have here? You have sine s here initially. Now this will give us, if you integrate sine s, it will give us minus cos s. Integrate minus cos s, it will give us minus sine s. Integrate minus sine s, it will give us cos s. Integrate cos s, this will give us what? Sine s, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what you are going to do is to start matching them now. Okay, so this match with this match with this match with this, and finally this match with this. Now always look at them, this positive sign, so this become plus. Now you have a negative sign here, this negative will overshadow the positive, so this becomes minus s raised to the power of 3 cos x. Then this minus sign here, minus sign is also present here because this one is what you are multiplying now. This minus sign here will cancel this minus sign here, so this becomes plus 3s squared sine s. Now the next one you are having here is 6s is positive, so you now say plus 6s cos x. What you have here is minus 6 what? Sine x, because this sign here is negative, so minus 6 what? Sine s. Then plus c, and that is the solution to this question. Okay, so that will be all for now. I wish you success in your examination tomorrow. Thank you for your time.